My first interest for Digital Continue's upcoming action game Next Up Hero sparked after seeing it during one of Nintendo's Nindies Direct last year. Instantly, the game's cartoony art style and twin-stick shooter-looking gameplay had me rubbing my hands together with delight. So, when the closed beta finally come around, it's fair to say I was eagerly awaiting to dive into the isometric action game head first, which is why it pains me so much to say that Next Up Hero is okay, and that's really about it. Before I go any further, I should say that all the impressions in this preview are based on the closed beta, so they have a chance to be addressed or even changed. Our final impressions will be shared in a full review when the game gets a full release. One of the biggest questions I had going into the closed beta is what is the game? I'd read all there was to read about Next Up Hero and watched just about every trailer going, but yet I still didn't really know what the game was or how it was meant to be played. I hate to say this, but I still don't really know what the game is or how to play it, and that's after 11 hours in the closed beta. Let's start with the gameplay. As you'd probably guessed from the trailers, Next Up Hero is an isometric, hero-based action game. Straight off the bat, you're tasked with choosing a hero and heading into what the game calls ventures, which are basically a fancy word for dungeons. It's these ventures that act as the core element of the gameplay, as the whole game evolves around you farming them for different currencies. Although this gameplay loop sounds shallow, and it is, it's also very addictive, which is down to the game's excellent progression system. Every hero comes packed with different stats and abilities, and these don't change. No matter how much you play the game, your stats won't increase, unless you prestige, but more on that later. Where the progression comes in is through an additional ability you can add to your adventurer, but to unlock these you'll need to acquire monster tokens. These abilities are tied to monsters that inspire their perks. For example, a rolling spiked creature offers the ability to potentially leave spiked traps in your wake. To get this ability, you must kill monsters linked to that ability and collect their tokens. This will allow you to progress towards unlocking that ability. I applaud the developers for taking this approach to the progression system. Not only does it encourage replayability, but also puts an emphasis on player skill rather than time spent with the game. The lack of grinding for stats won't sit well with all players, but I have a feeling that the die-hard community will not only appreciate the continuous challenge the game offers, but relish the feat of maxing out the high-level monster tokens. These tokens are just one of the in-game currencies available. You also have grand tokens and prestige points on offer. The prestige points are the most common currency and drop from defeated enemies in the form of yellow collectibles. They are used to buy new heroes, pay for entry to ventures, and when you level up enough they can be used to prestige a hero, giving them an additional passive ability and a slight boost to their stats. The grand tokens are used to buy entry into the grand ventures, a tougher set of ventures for you to delve into. I can't comment too much on these as they were locked in the beta, but they do look like they are a lot of fun. With a title like Next Up Hero, you'd expect a lot of encouragement on swapping between heroes. On the plus side, heroes do feel unique, each offering their own set of attacks and abilities. However, at least half of the heroes feel completely useless, which is down to the game's challenging gameplay and lack of healing abilities. I completely understand why developer Digital Continue have made the game play hard, as it fits in well with the style of the game and a continuously currency hunt, but the melee characters feel completely useless when the enemies are dealing out so much damage. Another element I really don't understand is why they haven't provided any way for you to heal yourself. The ventures range from 10 levels deep to a whopping 80 levels deep, each with a boss at the end. The key idea of the game, and the title Next Up Hero, is that you take over where another adventurer has fallen, which works well on paper, but I struggle to find many ventures where someone had got past halfway. In fact, in my 11 hours of the game I only finished one venture, which honestly felt more down to luck rather than skilled gameplay. As I previously mentioned, the game is designed around picking up where another player has failed, which leads us to the kind of cooperative element that Next Up Hero offers. As you progress through the ventures, you'll come across fallen heroes, or known as echoes. By resurrecting these heroes, they'll be able to not only fight alongside you, but also act as fuel to unleashing your ancient ability, a powerful ability that can genuinely be a game changer. Although I like the idea of these fallen heroes fighting by your side, in reality they offer very little help. On several occasions I would have up to 6 of these ghostly heroes fighting with me, but all 6 of them attacking at once offered as much damage as one of my hero's attacks. Every time I came across another fallen hero, I kept having the same thought. I wish there was a way to consume them for health, or even have a choice of choosing ally or health. Now, back to those ventures which are apparently player created. One of my biggest issues with the game is the need for you to always be online, which I can only guess comes down to the fact that these ventures are player inspired. I use the phrase player inspired as to create them you only have to put in a choice of small options and they are randomly generated. It's this real lack of player creation that leads me to ask the question, why is the game always online? Even more frustratingly, the game cannot be paused without danger of being killed, and you also have the potential to be booted from a venture just because you lost connection to the server. An even bigger concern with the always online feature is in relation to the game's release on Nintendo Switch, the console that we all love playing on the go, but unless you want to use your mobile as a hotspot, then you won't be able to play Next Up Hero on the go. As I previously mentioned, this is a beta, so the need for the game to always be online may change. My current time with Next Up Hero has felt very mixed. On one hand, I feel slightly demoralised that the chance of me finishing a venture is nearly impossible, no matter how many ghosts are fighting beside me. On the other hand, I can't help but say just one more game, which is no doubt down to the game's excellent currency gameplay loop. The closed beta finishes on the 11th of January, which sees the game enter early access on Steam. I hope that as the game grows, it becomes more refined in some of its gameplay decisions. I'm so close to loving Next Up Hero, but a couple of niggling attributes just keep getting in the way. For more on indie games, why don't you check out what indie games released on your consoles this week? Or to keep up to date with the latest indie game news, then why not check out our new videoed indie game podcast? And for more indie games, make sure you subscribe and check out indie-credible.com.